and welcome into the Wheelhouse here, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle, spontaneously popping up on a Monday night. Mark Saxon once again joins me on the program. Mark, I know we were just talking about wild card blues, but how are you? Is the hangover affecting you today?
Yeah, it did hurt knowing that I'm done with football until next fall. So kind of set in this morning. How are you doing?
I think over the last few years, I tend not to let sports games is the key word there, affect me too much. But yeah, it was a wild first couple of days, to be sure, and we'll keep you updated with the Rams and Vikings going on as we speak. But we're here for you on a Monday night. We show up, unlike the Vikings apparently, and we will get into everything wild card weekend. We'll also shift gears for a minute, and we'll also talk about the updated. We talked about this last week, Mark, but the updated coaching carousel that has NFL fans' heads spinning all over the place as some more news went down earlier today as well. We also want to give our thoughts and shout-outs to what's going on in California right now. We will dive into that. And also, 2 leagues starting up here very, very soon. One is, well, I'm excited for. We will get into those 2 leagues as well. And everything we do is on e5280sports.com. Make sure you go there. Between the Lines with Katie Mack gives a good breakdown of the week that was in the world of sports. That usually drops on Fridays. Catch Mark's show as well. That usually drops on Saturdays. And this Wheelhouse, we're usually on Sunday mornings, but we did some scheduling conflicts yesterday, so we are here with you this evening talking about, again, all things wild card weekend. And hit us up on social medias as well: Facebook, X, Instagram. Subscribe, like the YouTube channel, and this and many pods in the area brought to you by Pikes Peak Sports Cards. So if you are in the Denver, Colorado Springs area, make sure you go down, check them out. They put on a lot of shows, have a lot of cool memorabilia. If you're into Funko Pops like the ones you see behind me, they got it all. So go and check them out if you can. We touched on everything we're going to talk about, and that is usually encapsulated in a segment we call Fire and Ice. Dive into it right now.
It's now time for Fire.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
He's on fire.
I only want a burning desire. Let me stand next to your fire.
And Ice.
Ice Cube, baby.
You're as cold as ice. Ice, ice, baby.
I like that spontaneous drink we just made at the same time. I noticed it too. I was like, okay, hey, the chemistry's flowing. That was in sync, and unlike the football teams we root for. And who says you can't have coffee? I don't know what you're drinking, but who says you can't have coffee at 7:45 at night?
A nice cup of Joe any time of the day is clutch. I got myself some ice water.
There you go.
Just hydrating.
There you go. You gotta stay hydrated, as Michael Scott once said. All right, Mark. Once again, we will turn to you to see what direction you want to start with here on Fire and Ice.
Oh, we got to start with the ice after that. After this weekend.
Yeah, ice water, ice list. All right, let's get into it. The coaches carousel is updated. Well, it updates seems to be daily when a team's season is over. We touched on a lot last week. We were saying, what's going to happen to Mike McCarthy. That domino has fallen as the Dallas Cowboys are no longer retaining his services, which means he's a, free agent, lack of a better term, as he is out there in the ether, ready for a team to go after him. I think what Mike McCarthy obviously experienced with Dallas is everyone calls Jerry Jones the puppet master. He's just the guy who executes the puppetry. Is that I don't know if that's how you would say that phrase, but I had the stat here. I think they 49-35, somewhere around there. All reaction, zero research here, and I think they were 49-35 in his 5 seasons there. 3 playoff appearances, 3 straight playoff appearances, by the way. 3 straight 12-win seasons. Just could never get over the hump. So start there. What's your overall reaction of your former team's coach, Mike McCarthy, once again pondering the job market?
It's exactly like you said. It's the Jerry Jones effect. This has already been said, but my thought process was right on board with it. It's Jerry Jones wasted an opportunity. Once again, he didn't do anything. He didn't re-sign Mike. He didn't go after anybody else, at least that we know of. Didn't even interview. I think I agree with a lot of the Cowboys fans when they say Jerry needs to let the kids run it. I think Jerry's time has surpassed. I think he's been expired for a while now, to be honest. But it just, once again, Jerry Jones doing Jerry Jones things and kind of just shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know who they're going to end up with now. Obviously, Vrabel going to New England. Everybody's kind of, pondering the idea of Dion or maybe Mike Tomlin going to Dallas. I mean, I guess it's possible Jerry falls upstairs, but Mike McCarthy, they kind of got what they paid for with Mike. Don't get me wrong. He got us a Super Bowl. I'm not, I haven't forgot, but it's really, he did the same thing in Green Bay where he'd have phenomenal regular seasons, go into the playoffs and go exactly opposite of what had worked all year. Obviously this year, injuries didn't help. There was whatever was going on with Dak, whatever was going on with CD from time to time. I wouldn't say this year was Mike's fault. However, I really, really, really don't see what the Cowboys thought they saw in Mike McCarthy anyhow. I think he should be a coordinator at best.
Yeah, and then the question is, what do they see for their future? Obviously, Deion Sanders is tied to a lot with what's going on in Dallas. So we will see. He said he's not leaving Colorado unless he gets to coach both of his kids, which
right.
I think he considers Travis Hunter more his kid than Shiloh these days. But we'll see. We'll see. We're once again keeping you updated with the score of the Rams, just putting it on the Vikings right now, 24-3. I just watched that hit on Darnold and he fumbled it and they ran it back to the house. Did the Rams, so 24-3. We will get into a side topic of that game here. Yeah, you mentioned Mike Vrabel. That was the quickest fire and hire so far this offseason as Jared Mayo won them their last game, missed out on the number 1 pick, and Robert Kraft's like, see ya. And that's what happened to Lovie Smith a few years back with the Houston Texans. They were like, dude, you need to lose. We need better draft picks. And he won the last. He basically said, screw you guys. You're going to probably – I think it was a lose-lose for Lovie back then. I think they were going to get rid of him anyway. And he's like, we'll just win the game. Now we have like the 4th pick instead of the 1st or whatever it was. I don't know. But so we saw that with New England. They jump on Mike Vrabel, took a year off, spent 5 seasons in Tennessee, and now he is back in the coaching circuit. We mentioned Doug Peterson let go by Jacksonville. He is free to go anywhere. And, there was a lot of talk about culture change and stuff like that with Doug Peterson going to Jacksonville. The first year, they won a playoff game, over the Chargers. Chargers are going to Charger, just like they did a couple days ago.
That was one of the most Chargeriest Charger loss.
Yeah.
Run the ball. You had Austin Eckler. Run the ball.
We don't plug in those Chargers. And then you also have Antonio Pierce let go by Raiders, and then Tom Brady's like, screw the GM as well. We're getting rid of him, whoever he is. And so now the question turns, Mark, is teams who are not advancing in the playoffs, do they go on the market and say, hey, we're getting rid of our coaches here. Uh, so far, Mike Tomlin's name has come up a bunch in the last, I don't know, 24 hours, maybe less than that, whenever that game ended. Everyone says, playoffs, 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 playoffs. Nothing to really show for it. A lot of people blaming Russell Wilson for what happened there. To you enter the playoffs, Mark, with 5 straight losses, and then you run up against a Baltimore team who is firing on all cylinders. No other way to put it. But is there teams now in the playoffs that you see who are like, maybe we should move in a different direction? I know we're getting to the playoffs, but we're not and that was one of the problems with Mike McCarthy too in Dallas. So any teams that you see saying, hey, we're glad we're getting to the playoffs, but we need to go a little bit further?
Yeah, no, I mean Pittsburgh's definitely got to be on that list. And you hate to say that about a guy like Mike Tomlin. At least hate him or love him, coaching wise, winning record. He's the problem too, though. I think it's a little unfair. The last 4 years, I don't know about this one as much. It wasn't as bad. He kind of blew his wad getting to the playoffs. They would get in there all banged up, missing key players left and right. And it's hard to win any NFL game, let alone a postseason game with that many injuries. And, they cashed it all in to get there. And then after that, it was kind of, you just got, it's a toss up. You just got to, do what you can with what you have. But I do believe that Pittsburgh's got to be thinking about something. Something's not clicking. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in a very long time. That's got to be cause for some concern. I think I don't know if I'd pull the plug, but he'd definitely be on the hot seat for me 5 years in a row. It's kind of tough. And then was it 6 years ago or in between the 5 years, anyways? Having a winning record and just not making it, that also hurts. But they're in a tough division. I don't know. It's tough. At least for the Packers, I say LaFleur's safe. There was some questionable play calls, questionable game management issues, but I mean, he's proven his case. He's been in the playoffs almost every damn year. I think every year he's been there. So I don't know. I think the Bucks should probably look another way. I'm not convinced once Tom Brady left the building and just before he left the building, it's kind of like everything kind of fell apart. They had those high contracts with the defense. I think maybe you look at restarting, try and rebuild, try and hold on to Baker. Baker, I feel like has found his home, found his niche, found his way there. So, hate him once again, hate him or love him. He wasn't the issue in Cleveland. I mean, look how many different quarterbacks Cleveland went through. Obviously, no one's going to win in Carolina. And then the Rams situation, being the Rams, when he went to the Rams, it was never a forever thing. So I don't think Baker was the issue. But I will say that last night's game with Washington and the Bucks, that's kind of, in my opinion, should seal the fate there. Don't get me wrong, Washington was kind of coming in on a high. Jaden Daniels having one hell of a season, but those are the games where I mean, obviously any postseason game you got to win, but those are the games where it's like, okay, you got to take advantage of a rookie quarterback. You got to take advantage um, of those kinds of things, and they kind of let dumb mistakes and some obvious questionable play calls take effect. It's tough. The Chargers, John Harbaugh's fine. It was his first year making it. I think honestly, run with it. Build that offense up. Get rid of that Johnston receiver. He dropped everything Herbert threw at him. That was just atrocious. That defense kept them in the game for so long, and that offense just gave it away every time. And then Denver and Sean Payton, I think, once again, let the Sean Payton effect take effect. You got Bo Nix. You got a bright future ahead. beef up that line, give him a couple more weapons, strengthen up the front seven for Denver, and I think you got something cooking.
Yeah, definitely have to go like the Pittsburgh route, maybe the Bucks route, like you mentioned. What do you think of LaFleur in Green Bay? Is he safe?
I think he's more than safe. A lot of people forget this year we were the second youngest team in NFL history, only because we were the first youngest team in NFL history last year. You got a young quarterback, you had a young team, and our guys were dropping like flies yesterday with injuries. I definitely would question the staff, some of the conditioning staff as well. Why were our guys dropping that bad? We had injuries all year that have snake bitten us. Jair Alexander hasn't been healthy in 2 years. Christian Watson going down, and then once the guard left, see, this is where I feel if they would quit drafting a damn linebacker or a defensive end every year, beef up that offensive line. Maybe, I mean, I guess you could go after a weapon now. I feel like the plethora of receivers that Green Bay has, we need to focus on trying to get them a little bit more time. But I mean, as you saw, Jenkins went down and we couldn't move. And when we did move the ball, there was a flag for holding or, a false start or illegal hands to the face. It was atrocious. That offensive line fell apart as soon as Jenkins left. Myers went down, our center didn't help. He came back quickly, but it's just, there was a lot more at play than coaching, in my opinion. I feel the fact that they abandoned the play action, they didn't really come up with any plays to kind of help that offensive line, give them a breather, that kind of stuff. But once again, that could be coordinator issues. I think our defensive coordinator did a hell of a job. Obviously, LaFleur working with him in the past. Hafley was I think on point. Our defense kept us in the game the entire game. That was a questionable fumble at the beginning of the game there, but honestly, like I said, it was more player execution issues than it is coaching. So I think LaFleur is more than safe. I think maybe look at some coordinator, look at some special teams. Special teams once again killing us. I think stick with LaFleur and build around him.
Yeah, and you mentioned Denver. Obviously, Vance Joseph gaining interest around the league as well. I know the Jets and Bears and teams that Raiders, I think, are interested in his services. Although it seemed like the defense let down the Broncos a lot, especially in yesterday's wild card playoff. But we will get into that in a little bit. So, yeah, look for those teams if they somehow don't advance. Teams playing right now, Mark, I don't know where you go if some of these teams don't advance. You look at Sean McVay in L.A., seems to be safe. Aging quarterback and Matt Stafford, how long is that going to last? Although, once again, they are looking good. This evening, 24-3 still over the Minnesota Vikings. Winner of that game goes on to play the Philadelphia Eagles. So we will see what happens there. All right, moving on to number 2. We just kind of touched on it. Bad showing by the Chargers. They chargered. They did their thing and completely chargered this last weekend as they fell to the Houston Texans 32-12. Just an ugly game all around for the LA Chargers. Pittsburgh, we just kind of touched on Mike Tomlin a little bit. They fall to Baltimore. I mean, 3 hard-nosed games that they had to play each other in this season, and all within relatively close proximity of each other. Baltimore takes care of it 28-14. We touched on the Broncos. They scored first. That was fun, and that lasted a whole, 12 minutes. It was a close game in the first half, and then the tides completely shifted. They lose 31-7. Philadelphia, we touched on Green Bay, won that one 22-10. And last night's game, the double doink at the end of regulation was just crazy as Washington gets their first playoff win since 1995 and
Ooh.
they win that one 23-20 over Tampa Bay. So, thoughts, impressions, overall comments on the first 2 days of Wild Card Weekend, dating back to Saturday. These first two games on Saturday. Were you okay with a Washington-Tampa nightcap, by the way, on Sunday Night Football?
You know,
It turned out to be probably the most exciting game.
I was just going to say it turned out to be the most exciting game of the weekend, at least thus far. I mean, barring a Minnesota comeback. But, you know, I honestly would have, I mean, I liked Baltimore and Steelers being the night game, the Baltimore and the Steelers being the night game on Saturday, that division rival playoff. I feel like that was perfectly scheduled. And, Jaden Daniels being an exciting watch that he has been. I get it. I feel I feel okay with it. At the beginning, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the weekend, I definitely thought that the Packers and Eagles should have been the night game. But I'm not disappointed. Not disappointed. But I will say this: the Chargers, the Steelers, the Packers, the Broncos, and the Bucks all have one thing in common, and that is just lack of execution and capitalizing when they could. I just, I mean, the Chargers and the Packers, I feel, were identical, with the defense keeping them in the game and the offense can't get in the painted area. I don't know if that was some play call issues. I think it was a combination of play call issues, execution, and a very young team. Um, Herbert, I think, he showed frustration, kind of looking like a rookie, where he tried to make it all happen on his own, and that's what Jordan Love did, and that's why they threw picks, in big situations. Defense was able to bail him out, and they came out flat. If we're being honest, that's just what it was. Jordan Love, having that issue with the line doesn't help. But like I said, the play calls. I mean, dude, if you got a weak link in the ranks, work with it instead of against it. Call some plays, work on some play actions, try and draw the pressure away from that area, and try and move the ball. But LaFleur kept trying to go up the middle, which, hey, I'm old school too. I live and die with the run game. I get it, but if definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I don't understand that. The Broncos, and well, like you said, had a decent start. There was a couple of questionable calls. In my opinion, that was a dangerous pass, not a dangerous tackle. How are you going to pull up, in that third quarter with 6 minutes left? How are you going to pull it? No, nobody wants to get hurt like that. It was a very scary situation. But what's the DB supposed to do there? Wait for him to catch it, gain a couple yards, and then tackle him? I mean, it's such a tough spot. So I mean, some of those didn't really help. But yeah, the non-ability, to be able to stop really anything coming from that Buffalo offense is really kind of where it failed. And in my opinion, it's because they were out on the damn field most of the day. I mean, your defense can only do so much before they get tired. And I think that's what happened with Green Bay, and I think that's what happened with LA.
Yeah, and you mentioned that defenseless receiver penalty. The last thing that I know it was overthrown. A lot of people are even bashing Josh Allen for leaving his receiver out to dry there. But, the last thing the DB sees is the receiver going to catch it. He put his arms out like he was going to try to catch it. And he did, I guess, try to hold up because he led with his shoulder. He turned and hit him with the shoulder. And again, yeah, how are you supposed to hold up when you're going full speed? Again, are you supposed to let the guy catch it and then tackle him?
Then you lose your job.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I don't know. And then, a lot of people commenting on the head official going over and literally apologizing to Josh Allen while he's sitting on the bench. And I've never seen that in a pro football game where an official takes the time to go apologize to a quarterback. I guess that's what the script writers wanted. And then the touchdown that maybe shouldn't have been in the back of the end zone on that busted, was a 4th and 2 play where Josh Allen found the backup, I guess, running back in the back of the end zone. If you watch the replay, and I know they looked at it, the ball's jiggling, his foot's out of bounds. I really don't know how you call that a touchdown. But again, that's the way the script goes. So there was just a lot of odd moments in that game, Mark. And I know execution is a big part of it. It was 10-7 for at halftime. So I felt like the Broncos were like them getting a defensive turnover to kind of throw off Josh Allen, and it just never came. So I know they sacked him a couple times, but just wasn't enough.
And then, the questionable play calls late in the third quarter and the run of the ball. I understand you got to set up the pass, but at that point they were down 2 scores. And at some point you got to, there's no tomorrow, right? And that was one of my problems with LaFleur in Green Bay this weekend. There's no tomorrow. At this point of the game, you're down 2 scores. You've got to attack. Like I said, I understand setup plays. I get it. But that time has passed. You have no time now. There's no tomorrow. You might as well play like it. And that's kind of what frustrated the hell out of me with some of these teams. It's like, you literally at this point have nothing to lose, because as of right now, as it stands right now, tomorrow you are going home. There is no preparation for the next week. So what are you doing?
Yeah, and then, being down 2 scores in the fourth quarter and you're running, like, why?
Right.
They didn't throw down – I'm talking about the Broncos. They didn't throw down field after the first quarter. Like, I guess Buffalo was maybe playing back a little bit, but who cares? Just throw it. Like you said, nothing to lose. If you throw 3 interceptions and you win the game, who cares? Like,
right.
just and there was a lot of drop balls too. Like, Sutton dropped a bunch. Just a lot of dropped passes as well. And, it's, a lot of Bronco fans, at least what I'm seeing, reading, hearing, is, people are upset, but not too upset, because it's a rookie quarterback. And like I told you, Mark, sometimes, he just looks like a savvy vet, poised in the pocket and making plays, slinging the ball. And literally the next drive, he's back to his rookie tendencies, which is okay. That's what he is. So
it's growing pains. Yeah, it's growing pains. And like I said, you give him a line, maybe another weapon, beef up that front run defense. You guys got something cooking over there. So, a bright future ahead. And that's, once again, like I said, with my Packers, youngest team in the NFL, 2 years in a row. Build that line up. Maybe add a star on the run defensive side. Let's see what happens. Roll the dice. You know what I mean? And now Green Bay finally coming out of cap trouble, finally being able to free up, to get some contracts going. Do it. And it bothers me. We had arguably, amongst the elite quarterbacks to ever play the game, 2 of them, and we only won 2 Super Bowls in 30 years. So, at some point we gotta go all in, right?
yeah, and that's the problem with the Broncos too, is cap issues. They're still paying the guy who plays for Pittsburgh a crap ton of money. So hopefully when that's off the books, that's why you're going to see, Jordan Love still on his rookie contract. Jaden Daniels, they're going to have money to play with because he's on his rookie contract. Bo Nix, once the Russell Wilson's money off the books, they'll have some money to play with. So, teams with the young core of quarterbacks, even Houston, although, we saw CJ Stroud, I guess, take a turn downward this season. His trajectory went downward after such a good season last year. But he's still on his rookie deal. So Houston able to make some moves and look what they did, look what they did to the Chargers. So we will see what happens as time moves forward with some of these teams who, already looking to build for the future. All right. Number 1 on the ice list. Obviously, we gave our thoughts and shout outs to what's going on in California. I thought it was interesting. And I know this is no joking matter, but they obviously moved the LA Vikings game, which is going on right now, from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood over to State Farm Stadium in Glendale. I guess it gets rid of the kind of just tears up the home field advantage for LA. Obviously, LA fans have a lot less road to travel if they wanted to. It looked like the stadium had a lot of purple in it too for the purple people eaters out there. But I guess it's a good travel destination too if you're living in Minnesota right now. Probably freezing like it is in Denver right now, so that could be a good thing there. But I don't know if you read this. It was kind of ironic that they moved to State Farm Stadium when State Farm denied a lot of the people fire protection who live in LA, and
Saw that.
they moved the game to State Farm Stadium. I thought that was funny is a horrible word to use, but you know what I mean.
Ironic,
It's kind of
definitely.
ironic. I don't know if it's a coincidence or I doubt it's a slap in the face, but it's just one of those things where you're like, I wonder if I know they probably didn't have any other options. They had to move the game, for safety purposes, stuff like that, distraction, whatever. Obviously, the case may be, but I guess the word we'll use is ironic that they moved it to State Farm Stadium.
Yeah, and and the thing about Arizona, a lot of people forget, being that this is a destination state away from a lot of the freezing areas, so it's a melting pot. It's a lot more people from out of state. So I mean that in a way could help the Rams, but like you said, it's not a true home game. I mean, tough situation. It sucks. Hats off to the Cardinals organization, for setting everything up and having everything ready, taking care of the teams and their families. To like Pat McAfee said, it's a good distraction from a bad situation. I just it sucks. It's tough, but LA's showing out right now, so maybe they're winning one for the
Yeah.
boys back home, huh?
Yeah, still 24-3 lead. And yeah, like you said, shout out to the Cardinals sending some planes out to LA to pick up the LA. I mean, their kids, their families, their animals, bringing them all to Glendale and the Phoenix area. So that was cool for them to do that.
Yep. And division rivalry and everything else. That's why I was like, oh, that kind of sucks that they got to go to Arizona. But this is where the game is bigger than the game, right? I mean, that's what part of makes football beautiful, and I think it was phenomenal on the organization to extend themselves out like that and take care of everybody involved. And obviously everybody wish they could do more, but doing something like this and making still making things happen, that's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, so we will see. Yeah, like you said, barring some huge comeback, just over 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter, LA with still a 24-3 lead. So looks like LA may be on their way to the Philadelphia Eagles game. So keep an eye on that. All right, moving forward to the fire list. I'm excited about this league particular starting up here in just a couple of weeks, and that's the Unrivaled 3-on-3 Women's Basketball League. I don't know if it's going to be, I guess, quite as successful as Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league. The Big Three or whatever. So these games will be on TNT, they'll be on Max. You can stream all of them. Cool to see a lot of big names on these teams. And I'm super excited for it. The WNBA season doesn't start till April, so there's still a lot of time for that. But it's cool to see kind of what the Rock had a vision of when it came to football, Mark, and that's let's get something in the springtime and just keep people occupied. You see all throughout the NFL season, guys getting called up, if you will, from the spring league to the winter league, if you will, the pro league, the NFL. Every sport has a minor league system, except football really never did it unless you consider college their developmental league. But you're not able to bring guys up and down like you are in baseball. Now the G League in basketball, the minors in hockey, and now football has this. This is not going to be the minor leagues by any stretch for the WNBA, but just another place. Because if you follow a lot of these ladies on social media, I mean, half of them are overseas in Turkey, in Europe, and playing in these leagues just to not only, I guess, just to get a paycheck, however big that is, but just to keep playing. And now maybe this league will bring some of them back, but it is going to be a competitive league with a lot of big names.
No, I agree. I think this is a great move um, for women's sports in general. I mean, last year being a breakout year, CC, Angel Reese, doing their thing. Hate them, love them, it doesn't matter. CC especially just changing the way that women's sports in general are viewed. In my opinion, this is the biggest splash since the United States women's national team for soccer. Where little girls all around the nation get to say, hey, that could be me one day, and I think this is a big opportunity to say, hey, let's get pumped up for April, and have some fun watching these ladies tear it up on the court.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it's kind of on a well-known network as well. TNT, and you can stream it on Max as well. So I'm glad to see that they're getting some notoriety, like you mentioned, not only big for women's basketball, but sports in general. So that'll be cool to see. And like I mentioned, some of these rosters are just stacked. I mean, I don't know what else you could say. I don't know if there's only 6 teams, so it's obviously 3-on-3. So you're not going to have 15 rosters or 15 players on the roster, but you have the Laces, the Lunar Owls, the Mist, the Phantom, the Rose, and Vinyl are the team names. And yeah, just so I'm not going to go through all the rosters, obviously, but names like Kelsey Plum, um, Kate Martin, obviously Caitlin Clark is not going to be in this league. I mean, talk about this league blowing up if she were to play in it. But Skylar Diggins Smith, just some big names. So we will touch on it when the time comes. You mentioned Angel Reese; she is on the Rose. So Lexi Hull from the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark's teammate, is on the same team as Angel Reese. That'll be interesting.
Lexi's a boss too.
Yeah, I love Lexi Hull. So that is what I'm looking forward to here in the next couple of weeks. Number 2 on the fire list, the league that you're excited for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. UFL. I love spring football. For the sake of all those guys that just missing the chance, getting another opportunity to kind of showcase their skills. And I mean, they've been signing guys, to pro rosters, and this, once again, the Rock's intention, of kind of like a minor league for the NFL. I think it should be bigger than what it is. I wish it was bigger than what it is, because there's so much talent out there, and in my opinion, uh, you know, draft picks and free agents are kind of shortlisted. I wish there was more of it. I mean, look at baseball. You got guys, you know, I think baseball has it played out perfectly. Obviously, it's not as much as of a physical sport. So I understand the toll that it takes on, on the body and all that. But yeah, I wish they'd be more like baseball and give more opportunity. And once again, if you watch some of these games, and I can't wait. I'm a St. Louis Battlehawk fan, just because I don't have any dog in any fight over there, and they were exciting to watch. And week 1 starting with the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Houston Roughnecks. These guys getting another opportunity, and I think it's awesome. I like I said, I just wish there was more of it. So I'm excited to see it. I think it's good for the sport of football in general. And what's wrong with some spring football?
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I should turn the mute button off there. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on these spring leagues as well, and hopefully dive into them when they get kicked off here. All right, a shout out to the we kind of mentioned them, but shout out to the Commanders for getting their first playoff win. Leah, I know I heard you say you were kind of shocked. 1995 was the last time that the Washington football team won a playoff game. That long ago.
Yeah. I mean, I knew it was forever ago. I guess I missed that stat over the weekend. Just back in what was big back in '95, right? Because I mean, what a different world.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna look
I
that
think
up.
it's great for the organization. I think it's great for Jaden Daniels. I really and although wild card week is necessary, don't get me wrong, it sucks at the same time because you see teams, like both the Bucks, with Baker Mayfield and the Commanders, where it's like, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing either of these guys go deep, and they have to eliminate each other. The Chargers and the Texans, I know you're going to have a different opinion, but those two teams would have been nice, some fresh blood in the postseason and seeing those guys go further. So I think the Commanders win is just not only great, obviously for Washington, but it's a breath of fresh air.
All right, 1995, Mark. The O.J. Simpson trial was at its peak in 1995. So there you go. The Oklahoma City bombing was in April of 1995. Million Man March was in October of 1995. eBay was launched in September of
Didn't baseball go
1995.
on strike in '95 too?
I think they did. Some big song hits. Waterfalls by TLC. Kiss
Uh-oh.
Kiss from a Rose by Seal. Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
Hey,
R.I.P. All
let them
big
know
hits.
some.
All big hits in 1995. So that's what was going. Hold My Hand, Hootie and the Blowfish, 1995.
Well, Darius Rucker getting it in.
Yeah, so that's what was going on in 1995. So at least all the positive stuff. There are some very very negative things that happened. Kind of touched on it with I guess the O.J. Simpson trial and the Oklahoma City bombing, but the Bosnian War was also going on in 1995. So there you go. I personally like Waterfalls from TLC being big in 1995.
It's a jam. That's a jam right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that shout out to the Commanders for getting their first win since '95. Some comments on the YouTube channel. There we go. Denver Royals in the house. Denver Royals, a baseball league here in Denver. Also, here you go. I bet 300 on the Rams because I trust Sean McVay more in big games. Well, it looks like you may be coming away with
Safe bet.
what could be a lot of money, depending on. I didn't check the odds on this game, but it could be a lot of money coming your way. Same sixth and second. Jordan Love turns the ball over too much.
I mean, it
I don't
wasn't
know.
his greatest showing. He came out flat.
And I'm assuming this is a Patriots fan because Tom Brady is his profile picture. Mayo is absolutely awful. My son, high school football coach, is more competent. There you go.
Hey, I love
Shout
it.
out, shout out to the YouTube commenters there. So, yeah, I mean, this coaching carousel. What do they call it? We call it the carousel, but there's the rotation in the next cycle. Cycle is what the term
Cycle.
they use. I guess in the broadcast, the media world. So this cycle has been going on. I've even heard John Gruden's name pop back up in this cycle.
Hey,
A lot of people saying a return for Gruden. Did they delete
I
all the emails finally?
I like.
Because
I was gonna say I
because
like John Gruden.
you know it
Is a
when you
bad
delete
rep.
an email. There's another secret folder that says permanently delete. That's where you got to go.
Got to cover your tracks, right? I
And I don't
wouldn't
know.
mind John Gruden back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So then we can get Frank Caliendo back in the league. So same with I don't know if iPhone users knew this, but if you delete your text, they are not gone. By the way, I'm not saying I've gotten in trouble for this, but I know people who have gotten in trouble for this, and it's kind of the same as emails. You want to go. There's a special button within your text messaging that says recently deleted. Then you can go and permanently delete them. So
Hey,
I'm not
well,
saying I'm not saying you should be deleting texts. If you have nothing to hide, you should be fine. But there is different levels to deleting stuff in the electronic world.
my wife has an Apple phone, so I'm gonna have to go through. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. Be careful out there. It's tough out there.
Don't get
It
caught
is.
slipping, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Don't. Yeah. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Don't go. I was just gonna say that. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
But yeah, I loved when Michael Keaton quoted all those TLC songs and the other guys. Just classic.
Great movie. Great
Classic.
movie.
All right, now that your team is out of the playoffs, I know you kind of mentioned I wouldn't mind, but who you? I mean, you get asked this question all the time. You know, us here in Denver, our loser selves are going out with Bronco hats still on. You know, they're saying ha ha ha. But who do you want to win? That's what everyone gets asked when their team gets eliminated. So
it's such a tough question. And you know,
I know you're going for Detroit. So who else?
I was just gonna say, you know, I'm always gonna be an NFC North hater. I love Dan Campbell. I wouldn't mind watching Dan win. I don't necessarily want the Lions or the Vikings to win. Definitely not the Vikings. But I think who I'm actually rooting for is Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. It's a great story, a great season. They're truly the Cinderella story this year, in my opinion. And I know you're not going to want to hear this, but I wouldn't mind Josh Allen and the Bills finally not choking and getting it done. It's better than the alternative of Baltimore or Kansas City, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish no good luck to any AFC team.
I completely understand.
Where are you on the fence with this? Because a lot of the cliche things after your team is eliminated. Who you going for now? A lot of people say, I'm going for Buffalo because they knocked my team out. Hell no.
No,
I'm going straight NFC now. I don't care who comes out of the end. Although I will say I would not mind Houston going.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
No, Houston would be great. I'm the same way. I don't. Not only you get those, well, I got to root for the team who knocked me out, guys, or well, we got to root for our division. Absolutely not.
No,
unacceptable.
No,
unacceptable.
I wouldn't.
Like I said, I wouldn't mind watching Dan Campbell win one just because I like Dan Campbell, but I'm not rooting for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go through it here. Vikings, I don't think they're getting out of this game. They just what did they score there? How'd they get 9? They must have scored and missed the extra point, I'm assuming.
That's the only thing I can think of.
24-3. Anyway, Rams kicked a field goal, so it's 27-9. Like we said, barring any large comeback, I don't mind the Rams, but I feel like they just won recently, which they did. So I like Matt Stafford. Like I said, I wouldn't mind Houston. Baltimore, nope. Buffalo, nope. Philadelphia, I'm kind of on the fence on. I don't know where you stand on Philadelphia, but they just won in the last 10 years. Washington, I would love to see like a Washington-Houston Super Bowl or something like that.
That would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal. That would be my dream Super Bowl.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, kind of where I am. Yeah, screw Buffalo, screw the Chiefs. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind Detroit. I guess they're one of those teams who have never ever won. Same with Houston. So somewhere in that arena, I would love to see like a Commanders Houston Super Bowl somehow, some way.
Oh yeah, that'd be the dream Super Bowl. I mean, and back to the Philly thing. Like one of my really good friends is an Eagle fan. We watched the game together yesterday, and I'm more playing the Eagles and losing like that. I'm more mad at the Packers than I am the fact that we lost to the Eagles. I honestly, if the Eagles won it all, it wouldn't bother me one way or the other. I'm not gonna root for them by any means, but it's not like if we would get eliminated by the Vikings or the Lions or something, then all hell would have broken loose in my house. But losing to the Eagles, it's just one of those things. They were a hot team. I think every Packers fan had that feeling in the pit of their stomach before first kickoff, where it's like, this is gonna be a tough one, And when you go into games like that, you you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's obviously talking about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I don't know. Obviously, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have terrific regular seasons, haven't gotten it done in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, none of these guys have even the amount of combined rings as much as Patrick Mahomes so far. So, Chiefs are obviously the class of the AFC. I hope somehow they get beat by whoever they're playing, and that's just it. I hope the Bills continue their choke fest. I hope Baltimore continues their choke fest. Although I like Derrick Henry, I do like Saquon Barkley. Seems like a class dude. They said, hey, we kind of touched on it during last week's show. You want to go break the record? No, I'll let the kids play. So he seems like a good dude. Obviously, a terrific season by those two guys. Derrick Henry was just bulldozing dudes over.
Always phenomenal.
Yeah. So.
And shout out to
I would like to see, like you said, I would like to see those guys win, but yeah, screw the teams that they're on.
Right. And shout out to Saquon for not rubbing it in. I mean, he took the slide at the end of our game.
Yeah, see, class move.
When it broke open. Yeah, class act.
Yeah, and I do want to I was trying to get Colin on here from Undrafted, Uncensored. They're going to be going on around 10 after the Monday night game, so catch them on all of our social media platforms. He won our fantasy football league this year. He beat me in the championship. We talked about it a couple weeks ago when me and him did a show. So he does win tickets to a game, probably a local game. I know he was trying to get fancy with it, and he wanted to go he does the kind of the baseball stadium tour. So he goes to different places every year. I think he was trying to swindle that out of me, but I kind of. Like Negan said, I shut that shit down, no exceptions. And by the way, I'm rewatching the entire series. There was so much stuff that I even forgot happened. So I wrote some notes down. So get ready for Dead City when we bring that on, hopefully here soon. So yeah, I win second place, which is a jersey of my choice. So I don't know what. Like I said, I might replace the Jimmy Butler jersey I have. And then third place is Locke Hoover. So Locke, hit us up. You win your money back. I guess we could just Venmo you or something like that. But Locke comes in third place, taking out Dante in the third place game. So shout out to everybody in the Fantasy Football League. Again, I try to get Colin on here to brag, give him his bragging stage. Maybe he'll do it at 10 o'clock, but he did win the championship this year.
Yeah, congratulations. And yeah, it was a rough year for me. Both my leagues that I played in, injuries just killed. I started off in our league. I started off hot. I started off on top.
You finished 7-7.
Yeah, I mean, but there was like 5 weeks where key players were just down. I'm like, what? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah, and I honestly thought, I guess I was stupid and didn't pay attention because I thought the fantasy football playoffs were just automatically the third to last season in the NFL regular season, because everybody sits their players and stuff like that. But nope, not our league. So I ended up losing to Colin 273 to 190. So
that hurts.
And I had a lot of outs and IRs, and so I really didn't pay attention the last 2 weeks because I thought it was already over.
Same.
Yeah.
And once I knew I was done, obviously I knew I didn't make the playoffs. It was and I did everything I could. I won the last 3 or 4 games straight, and I was like, man, I can do it. And then I just saw it, and I was like, put it on the shelf.
There you go. All right, so shout out to Colin, me, I guess, and Locke. So for coming in third place there, he'll get $50. Colin gets some tickets, and I guess I'm getting myself a jersey. I don't know who pays for that. I don't know where that money's coming from. So, but that is going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us on a special Monday night edition of the Wheelhouse here, Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. As I mentioned, undrafted, uncensored. They don't really have a schedule. It's just when all three of those dudes can get together. So they will be coming your way in about an hour and a half, 10 o'clock Mountain Time, after the Monday Night Football game. The Rams, once again, on top of the Vikings, 27-9, just under a minute to go in the third quarter. Mark, once again, thank you for subbing in.
And thanks for having me. Always fun. Like I said, anytime you guys need me, I'm here.
Alrighty, and once again, go like, subscribe, follow all social medias, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. All of the podcasts are up there, and as well as our home base, e5280sports.com. For Mark, I am Michael. We will talk to you soon.